was a dam building across the river deep and wide, where steel and water did collide. A place called Boulder on the wild Colorado.
Hi, I'm Jarrod LeBlanc, and you're watching Maine Freedom Watchdogs. We address the issues that affect your freedom here in Maine. If you're like me and you're worried that our fundamental American freedoms are disappearing and you'd like to do something about it, then this episode is for you. First, I'm going to share a little story about my own personal awakening that happened back in 1994. Then, Pete Harring, an activist that started the Maine Refounders, is going to join us. And I got a tip from a viewer that Maine author Stephen King does the spoken word on a new concept album by Shooter Jennings, the only son of musical legend Waylon Jennings. The album is about the growing police state and surveillance state in America. It's brilliant, and we'll play a clip. So my personal awakening happened in England. I traveled there in 1994 as an exchange student. At the time, I was at the University of Maine at Farmington studying history and psychology. British folks taught me the importance of central banks, which at the time were rarely talked about in the American history classes, so I knew nothing about them. Most nations of the world have private central banks that control their money supply. One family, the Rothschilds, are the primary stakeholders in almost every central bank, including our own central bank known as the Federal Reserve. They control the world's money supply, and like any good crime family, the Rothschilds seem to have come to power through lies, manipulation, and murder. Nathaniel Rothschild correctly stated that whoever controls the money supply of a country effectively controls the government. They now control the money supply of the world, so what does that tell us? The central bankers have used their power to lock European countries into a common currency against their will, forced them into accepting one central bank for all of Europe, located in the Rothschilds' hometown of Frankfurt. They created the European Union against the will of the European people. It's much like the old Soviet Union. The leaders are unelected and they do whatever they want. Throughout Europe, free speech is just about gone, the right to bear arms is disappearing, and any reasonable expectation of privacy is long gone. Thomas Jefferson said that private central banks were more dangerous to our liberty than standing armies, and boy was he right. Just ask the Europeans. This quiet, incremental takeover of Europe is accomplishing what Caesar, Napoleon, and Hitler could not: the consolidation of Europe under one authoritarian government. The unelected European Union President, Herman von Rompuy, was recently taken to task by a member of the British Parliament, Nigel Farage.
I would like to ask you, President, who voted for you? And what mechanism? Oh, I know democracy is not popular with you lot. And what mechanism do the peoples of Europe have to remove you?
Rompuy responded by holding Farage in contempt. Keep in mind, he is in the British Parliament where they speak English. Rompuy can speak English, but to add insult to injury, he chooses not to. Can you imagine an unelected world president coming to Washington, D.C. and dressing down one of our elected United States senators on the floor of the United States Senate, and doing so in a foreign language? It could happen if we continue down our current path. The consolidation of European nations into one government is a stepping stone towards the ultimate goal of the central bankers, which is a one-world government with one world bank, one world currency, and one world authoritarian constitution that will not honor the rights and freedoms that we now have as Americans. I started this show in order to help protect those rights and freedoms by raising awareness to the attacks on them and calling my fellow Mainers to take action on specific issues that relate to our freedoms. I want to introduce you to another freedom watchdog here in Maine. His name is Pete Harring. He founded a group of patriots dedicated to helping us get back to the basics of constitutional government. They are the Maine Refounders. Pete is on the phone with us today. Pete, thanks for joining us.
Hi, how you doing today, Jarrod?
Doing great. Tell us a little bit about the Maine Refounders. How did you end up starting up that organization?
Okay, well, this goes back to the the last presidential election, before the presidential election, I was sitting there with my new granddaughter in my lap, and I'm looking at what was being presented before me for candidates, and I wasn't thrilled at all. And I had come to a realization that my granddaughter was already in a boatload of debt.
If someone wants to get involved with the Maine Refounders, do they have to belong to any particular political party?
Oh, you don't have to be a part of any political party. All you have to be is an American who believes in the Constitution and the visions of our founding fathers.
What are some other things that people can do to get more involved?
Well, the best thing to do is to actually start contacting your representatives on a regular basis. You can contact them either through email, or you can send them a letter in the mail, or you can phone them or fax them. I mean, it's pretty easy to do that. And my website gives pretty easy access to that, because there is currently almost 500 members in the group, and we all share our discussions and what is actually going on in the state at the State House.
Pete, the Maine Refounders currently has about how many members?
At the moment, I have 480 members, and I started it on January 15th of 2009.
That's almost 500 members. And Pete, in a small state like Maine, 500 passionately committed people will make an enormous difference.
I hope so.
Well, I want to help promote your Tax Day Tea Party, so tell us about that.
Okay, well, last year, I helped organize the very first Tax Day Tea Party here in the state of Maine. And as many people know, it was also on a national level. There was Tax Day Tea Parties across the entire nation. But we held one last year in Capitol Park, right across the street from the State House in Augusta. And we had 723 people that actually signed into the sign-in sheets, representing over 163 towns. And we were just there just to let people in the State House know that we were here and we were not going to be silent any longer. So this year we're also going to be doing the same thing, only this year there is a lot more people involved, a lot more people have found out about us, and I've been working closely with various other constitutionally minded groups around the state, so we're hoping to have a much larger turnout this year.
The Tax Day Tea Party starts at 3 p.m. in Capitol Park in Augusta and goes until 7 p.m. Pete, I'm going to let you go. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you very much, Jarrod.
One of Maine's biggest voices, Stephen King, performed the spoken word on a concept album by Shooter Jennings' band Hierophant. The album is Black Ribbons. The music is sort of New Age meets country.
When I check in, fortune teller, I know what room I'm really in tonight.
The lyrics raise awareness of the growing police state and surveillance state in America. King alluded to such a place in the story The Running Man, and now it seems that that place is upon us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in the fishbowl. It's great to have someone of King's stature here in Maine standing up for our freedoms and calling attention to the growing tyranny. Here's a clip from Black Ribbons.
From the center of nowhere, atop the shoulders of giants, above the creeping fog of disinformation that clouds the American Union, this is Will-O-the-Wisp, and this is the last light radio, your last beacon of truth and defiance. I've always started my shows by saying that all ships lost in the night search for the lighthouse on the rock of the Enlightenment, but good truth seekers out there, the battery is fading and the light is dying. I see that freedom has failed us, and with no light, the night's going to be a long one. Woody Guthrie said, this land is your land, this land is my land. Great words, but this land is their land now. This will be the last time your ears and my voice will be getting together, because as of midnight tonight, the previously public airways will be commandeered for government-approved and regulated transmission. The last breath of free speech will blow itself out. What rises in its place is going to be the wind of thought control.
I still believe that America can be the greatest place on earth, but remember that the cost of liberty is eternal vigilance in defending it. Let's make our stand here in Maine to keep our founders' spirit of resistance alive. This has been Maine Freedom Watchdogs. Thank you for watching, and let's keep each other free.
I fly a starship across the universe divide, and when I reach the other side, I'll find a place to rest my spirit if I can. Perhaps I may become